Useless old trash. You should be in a nursing home, not wasting everyone's time.
The coffee shop was packed that Tuesday morning. Every table occupied, the line snaking to the door. Behind the counter, Sarah Martinez moved as fast as her 72-year-old body would allow, pouring coffee, taking orders, wiping down the espresso machine. She'd worked at Morning Brew Cafe for 6 years since her husband passed. The pay wasn't great, but it kept her busy and the tips helped with her small apartment rent. Her son always offered money, but Sarah was proud. She'd raised him to be independent, and she'd stay that way too. The bell above the door chimed. In walked Trevor Ashton, 28 years old, wearing a suit that cost more than Sarah made in a month. He was a junior partner at his father's law firm and treated service workers like they were invisible. Trevor pushed past 2 customers waiting patiently in line and slapped his hand on the counter. "I need a Vinny caramel macchiato, extra hot, with oat milk. Now." Sarah looked up from the cappuccino she was making. "Sir, there's a line. I'll be with you in just a moment. Do you know who I am?" Trevor's voice rose. "My father owns half the buildings in this city. I don't wait in lines." The other customers shifted uncomfortably. Sarah's co-worker, a young college student named Emma, looked terrified. "Everyone waits their turn here, sir," Sarah said calmly, continuing to work on her current order. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice stayed steady. Trevor's face turned red. "Listen, you old hag. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Make my coffee right now, or I'll have you fired." Sarah set down the coffee she was making. "Sir, please don't speak to me that way. I'm happy to make your drink when it's your turn." "Your turn?" Trevor laughed cruelly. "You're a pathetic old woman making minimum wage at 70 years old. You're a failure. You have no education, no skills, nothing. You exist to serve people like me. Now make my damn coffee." The entire cafe went silent. Emma had tears in her eyes. Several customers looked ready to intervene. Sarah's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "You're asking me to leave?" Trevor grabbed a ceramic mug from the counter and hurled it against the wall. It shattered into pieces. "I'll sue this place. I'll have you living on the streets where you belong." He stormed toward the door, then turned back. "Useless old trash. You should be in a nursing home, not wasting everyone's time." The door slammed behind him. Sarah stood there, shaking. Emma rushed over and hugged her. "Are you okay, Sarah? What a horrible person." "I'm fine, honey," Sarah said quietly, but her eyes were wet. She grabbed a broom and started sweeping up the broken mug, not wanting customers to see her cry. What Trevor Ashton didn't know, what nobody in that coffee shop knew, was that Sarah Martinez was the mother of Marcus Reaper Martinez, president of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club's Portland chapter. Sarah had never told her co-workers about her son's affiliation. She didn't want special treatment or worried looks. Marcus was her baby boy, no matter what patch he wore on his leather vest. He called her every single day. He made sure she had everything she needed, and he visited every Sunday for dinner at her small apartment. That Sunday, Marcus showed up at 5 p.m. as always, carrying groceries for the meal they'd cooked together. But the moment he saw his mother's face, he knew something was wrong. "Ma, what happened?" "Nothing, me, Joe. Just a long week." Marcus set down the groceries. "Ma, I've known you my whole life. You can't lie to me. What happened?" Sarah tried to brush it off, but Marcus waited. Finally, she told him about Tuesday, about Trevor Ashton, about the mug, about the words that had echoed in her mind for 5 days straight. As she spoke, Marcus's face turned to stone. His hands clenched into fists. The vein in his temple pulsed. "What's his name again?" Marcus asked, his voice deadly calm. "Marcus, please. It's over. I don't want trouble. His name, Trevor Ashton. His father is some big lawyer." Marcus pulled out his phone and walked to the window. Sarah heard him making calls, his voice low and controlled. When he returned, he hugged his mother tight. "Nobody talks to you like that. Nobody. Promise me you won't do anything violent," Sarah pleaded. "I don't want you getting in trouble." Marcus kissed her forehead. "I promise, ma. No violence. But he will learn respect." The next day, Trevor Ashton left his downtown office at 6 p.m. heading to his BMW parked in the garage. He was scrolling through his phone, barely paying attention, when he realized he was surrounded. 40 motorcycles had pulled up in formation, boxing in his car. 40 men in leather vests stood in a semicircle. Not threatening, not moving, just standing there, arms crossed, watching him. Trevor's hand shook as he clutched his briefcase. What do you want? Marcus stepped forward. Trevor Ashton? Who's asking? I'm asking. Tuesday morning. Morning Brew Cafe. An elderly woman working the counter. You remember her? Trevor's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me refresh your memory. You called her an old hag. You said she was pathetic. You threw a mug. You told her she belonged on the streets. That was just... She was being slow. That woman, Marcus said, his voice like ice, is my mother. The color drained completely from Trevor's face. His briefcase slipped from his fingers and hit the concrete. I didn't know. I'm sorry. You're sorry. Marcus took a step closer. You're sorry because you found out she's my mother? Or are you sorry for treating an elderly woman like garbage? Trevor couldn't answer. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus continued. Tomorrow morning, you're going to walk into that coffee shop. You're going to wait in line like everyone else. And you're going to apologize to my mother. Sincerely. You're going to tell her you were raised better and you're ashamed of your behavior. Yes, absolutely. I'll do it first thing. We're not done. You're going to leave a $1,000 tip. And then you're going to volunteer at the senior center on Market Street every Saturday for the next 6 months. I'll know if you don't show up. 6 months? But 40 bikers took one step forward in unison. 6 months, Trevor stammered. Absolutely. Whatever you want. This isn't about what I want, Marcus said. This is about learning that every person deserves respect. Rich, poor, young, old, it doesn't matter. You treat people with dignity or you face consequences. Trevor nodded frantically. And Trevor, if I hear about you disrespecting anyone else, a waitress, a janitor, a parking attendant, anyone, we'll have this conversation again. And next time I won't be this nice. The bikers parted, creating a path to Trevor's car. He stumbled forward, hands shaking so badly, he dropped his keys twice before getting the door open. The next morning, Sarah was preparing for another shift when Trevor Ashton walked through the door. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, suit wrinkled like he'd slept in it. He walked straight to the counter, waited patiently behind 3 other customers. And when it was his turn, he looked Sarah in the eyes. Ma'am, my name is Trevor Ashton. Last Tuesday, I was unspeakably rude to you. I said things that were cruel and wrong. There's no excuse for my behavior. I was raised better than that, and I'm deeply ashamed. I am truly sorry. Sarah stared at him, surprised. Thank you for apologizing. Trevor placed an envelope on the counter. This is a small gesture. It doesn't make up for what I said, but I hope you'll accept it. Inside was $1,000 in cash and a handwritten note. Thank you for your service and patience. You deserve better than how I treated you. Trevor Ashton. Emma watched from behind the espresso machine, her mouth hanging open. You don't have to do this, Sarah said quietly. Yes, I do. And I'm going to be volunteering at the senior center on Market Street. If you know anyone there who could use help, please tell them I'll be there every Saturday. After Trevor left, Emma rushed over. What just happened? That guy was a monster last week. Sarah smiled softly. I think someone taught him a lesson about respect. Marcus called that evening. Did he apologize, Ma? He did, me, Joe. And he left money. Too much money. I'm going to donate it to the senior center. That's because you're a good person, Ma. That's why we protected you. You didn't hurt him, did you? Not a scratch. I promised you. Remember? Just had a conversation. Thank you for standing up for me. But Marcus, I want you to understand something. I didn't need you to defend my honor. I'm strong enough to handle rude people. I've dealt with worse. I know you are, Ma. This wasn't about you being weak. This was about teaching someone that actions have consequences. That you can't treat people like garbage just because you have money. Did he learn the lesson? Time will tell. But he'll be at that senior center every Saturday. And I have friends watching to make sure he actually helps, not just shows up. True to his word, Trevor Ashton appeared at the Market Street Senior Center the next Saturday. And the Saturday after that. For 6 months, he showed up, reading to elderly residents, helping with activities, listening to their stories. Something changed in Trevor during those months. Hearing about their lives, their struggles, their wisdom, it humbled him. By month 3, he was showing up on weekdays too, bringing his lunch to eat with the residents. One Saturday, Sarah stopped by to deliver donated books. She saw Trevor in the common room, patiently helping an 85-year-old veteran complete a jigsaw puzzle. Trevor looked up and saw her. He stood immediately. "Mrs. Martinez, I didn't know you came here. I volunteer sometimes. How are you doing, Trevor?" I'm better. Thank you for asking. And thank you for not having me arrested that day. I deserved it. Everyone deserves a second chance, Sarah said gently. What matters is what we do with it. After 6 months, Trevor's required volunteering ended, but he kept showing up. He'd found something at that senior center. Purpose, perspective, and people who valued him not for his father's name or his money, but for his time and kindness. 2 years later, Trevor Ashton opened a nonprofit organization providing free legal services to seniors. His father was furious that he'd left the family law firm, but Trevor didn't care anymore. He still visited the Morning Brew Cafe every Tuesday morning. He waited in line. He left generous tips, and he always greeted Sarah with respect and a genuine smile. Marcus never had another conversation with Trevor. He didn't need to. The message had been received. Sarah never told her co-workers about her son's intervention. As far as they knew, Trevor had just had a change of heart. And in a way, that was true, because sometimes the most powerful lessons don't come from fists or threats. They come from accountability, consequences, and discovering that the people you dismissed as worthless have families who love them fiercely. Trevor Ashton learned that lesson the hard way, and he became a better man because of it. That's what happens when you insult someone's mother, especially when her son rides with 40 brothers who believe in protecting family and teaching respect, not through violence, but through justice.